Call to order, determine there's a quorum present. Commissioner Wardlaw, Commissioner Vasquez, Commissioner Nettleton, Commissioner Flores, and myself, we have a quorum. Commissioner Vasquez, if you please lead us in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Folks, we can have a moment of silence. We lost one of our first responders from the City of Del Rio Police Department. Our fire department passed. If y'all don't mind, just have a moment of silence for him, please. Thank y'all. Minutes, I didn't receive any. We have none. Citizens' comments, we have two. I should put on my glasses on, show what we're doing. Ms. Cárdenas? Irma Cárdenas?
Good morning, Judge Owens and Commissioners. My name is Irma Cárdenas. I am a leader with the Border Organization. We are here to address item 18 on this morning's agenda. The Border Organization is interested in having serious conversations over serious issues, such as mental health care, internet connection, water for subdivisions, expanding the women's shelter to include children's shelter. Declaring that we are being invaded is not a serious issue. It is without merit in Val Verde County. Let's discuss and negotiate serious issues. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Rios, Chris Rios? Chris Rios? Good morning.
Good morning, Judge Owens. My name is Chris Rios. I'm from Escondido Estates, and I come before you to appreciate what you have been discussing with us as far as the water for Escondido Estates. We've been working with you and with our Commissioner, Mr. Wardlaw, and the Border Organization, and we would like to see that continue. We have seen some progress, and we would like to see water out there.
Thank you, ma'am. Approving monthly reports from elected officials.
Move. Second.
I have a motion, Commissioner Nettleton, second, Commissioner Flores. All those in favor? Aye. Anybody against? Motion carries 5-0. Approving bills for payments. I have a motion.
Motion approved.
I have a motion, Commissioner Flores, second,
Second, Judge.
Commissioner Vasquez. All those in favor? Aye. Anybody against?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-1. Item 8, discussion possible action to approve the auditor's report.
Move.
Morning, Judge. Commissioner Nettleton, second. Who seconded? Second, Commissioner Flores. All those in favor? Aye. Anybody against? Motion carries 5-0. Yesterday I was asked what I wanted for Christmas, and this gets back to me not hearing it. My wife said that she was buying hearing aids to help with the court. I'll be able to hear you.
Sometimes you need to turn it down.
Sorry, but item 9, discussion possible action to apply for and accept funding for the local assistance and tribal consistency fund under the American Rescue Plan Act. It's $221,934.29 and $221,900. Payment in lieu of taxes. Can I make a motion?
Second.
We have a motion, Commissioner Nettleton, second, Commissioner Flores. All those in favor? Aye. Anybody against? Motion carries 5-0.
Judge, I'm sorry, before we go to the next item, that is gonna be the total amount, the 221,000 that we're gonna apply for.
Twice. 442.
Yeah,
Correct.
All right.
All right. Item 10, discussion possible action to ratify 2023 Valverde County Indigent Grant Program.
Move.
Have a motion,
Second.
Commissioner Nettleton, second, Commissioner Flores. All those in favor? Aye. Anybody against? Motion carries 5-0. This is a good one. Discussion possible action to approve the treasurer's report.
Move.
Second.
Have a motion, Commissioner Nettleton, second, Commissioner Flores. All those in favor? Aye. Anybody against? Motion carries 5-0. Let's do this one. These other ones might take a little bit. So if y'all don't mind, we'll move to item 15, canvassing of November 8, 2022 general election returns and declaring results.
Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Have a motion, Commissioner Nettleton, second, Commissioner Flores. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody against? Motion carries 5-0. Results are approved. Item 12, and everybody that won, and everybody that ran, congratulations to everybody. Like I said before, it's a lot to put your family through and put everybody else through. It's a lot for somebody to put their name in the hat. But either way, congratulations to all. Item 12, discussion possible action on 4-H stalls and horses. We had an item on the agenda, I think 3 meetings ago, and I'm just asking for a little bit of guidance. We went out, there's 40 stalls there. Right now, there's nobody, there wasn't a horse in none of the stalls. But if y'all would give me an idea more or less, I can give you an idea on cost. With what's there, with the concrete about 4 foot high and then the metal up above that, and then either something like that or doing the cinder blocks like what we have on the old part of the stalls. The cost one versus the other, it runs pretty much the same.
I'd like to see the cinder block. The reason there's no horses is because it floods all the time and it's a mess, so they have their horses in other places. I don't think we need 40 of them, but I'd like to see us build at least maybe 10 with some pack rooms adjacent to it, but to raise it up out of the bottom where it floods into an area that functions a little better for the 4-H.
If we built, they're 12 foot, 2, 4, 6. If you do, they're 12 foot wide, so if we built, say 12, because that way you could put 2 in each bay, a 25 foot bay, and you could put them back to back. That way you use that middle wall, and they don't have to just keep building.
Can we add like maybe a 5 by something or a 6 by something tack room adjacent to each stall so that each individual has a place to keep their tack?
Are the stalls gonna have concrete floors or dirt floors?
They would have dirt floor. What we'd end up doing is we take all that stuff down, and then we'd have to build it up. We went out there and shot grades, I guess, 2 weeks ago, and we'll have to build it up. They're 12 and 12 put together, and then it's 10 foot out the roof. So if you take all that, we'll have to build that out and then go out another 2 foot on each side and build that with a slope and build it up about 2 feet.
That thing kind of sits in a retention pond in there, so we're gonna have to figure out how to drain it out of there. Somehow.
If we build it up, that water's gonna run off.
Yeah.
So, what the school's fixing to do, and then they'll end up getting a little bit more of our water. But what the school's fixing to do with theirs, they'll end up fixing their drainage to where it goes underneath Wildcat. And then the city's looking at putting a retention system, which they're asking for help, putting in a retention system, right outside of the fence of the airport, right below your property. And then where that canal goes through, where the greenest part's at, they're looking at putting in a retention system there. So building ours up, with the school, what they're gonna do, the city, what they're gonna do, I think we'll end up fixing.
I'll make a motion to authorize the judge and the engineer to bring back a set of plans and a cost to build.
Okay. Second. I have a motion, Commissioner Nettleton, second, Commissioner Warden. All those in favor? Aye. Anybody against? Motion carries 5-0. Item 13, discussion possible action on setting policy and limit for hotel and motel rates and room expenses.
Make a motion to amend the policy to say that host hotels will not exceed $360 a night without prior approval from Commissioner's Court. And that policy will be changed in the policy.
Okay. I have a motion, and do I have a second before we get into conversation?
What was that motion again?
The motion was to set host hotel rates not to exceed $360 a night at the host hotel unless there's prior approval from Commissioners Court.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, man. My concern is, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No.
Oh, you're fine. Sure. I was wondering if you considered just saying that the block of room rate, whatever that is, that's your limit. Because if we say 360 or whatever we arbitrarily decide, our block room rates sometimes are at 150.
So the motion was not to exceed.
360.
So
Not to
at the end of the
exceed.
day,
So if the block room rate happens to exceed the 360, then they would have to come back. I'm not saying they do.
Yeah, I don't see anybody's ever exceeded, even come close to exceeding 360.
but most of our room rates are 220 to,
I'm basing that off of the Austin legislative rate.
Well, yeah, but there's no block room rate for the
No, I
Austin
understand.
legislative
I'm
rate.
just basing that off of that.
Okay.
I can amend the motion to say that the block room rate would apply.
Right.
Unless Commissioners Court approves.
Not to exceed block room rate.
Okay. I'll amend my motion to say that the block room rate applies unless Commissioners Court approval has been granted for other than that.
That's great.
Second accept.
That'll work.
all those in favor? Aye. Anybody against? Motion carries 5-0. Item 14, discussion possible action on forming a 501c3 to accept and distribute food. This conversation had come up a couple of times, and it came up in the last week or so also, about forming a 501c3 that maybe we could accept more food. We had this conversation probably 3 years ago. And at that point, the thing was that if you formed a 501c3, then you might lose control over it. And that was one of my biggest concerns is that if we create a 501c3, we would appoint board members to accept donations and stuff, and basically donations.
My
At
concern
that
is,
point is that the court would not have any control over that once you've already appointed the board members, and we can't appoint ourselves to be part of that 501c3. So, is that true?
Well, first off, the 501(c)(3)s, typically, local governments are not intended to be qualified to even form a 501(c)(3), typically. But absolutely, the conflict that you're talking about would exist. It may be more beneficial to the court to consider working with a local 501(c)(3) that's already in existence. I don't know if Loaves and Fishes is.
Loaves and Fishes is one.
Right.
We pay $18,000, and then the city also pays $18,000. But they do their own food distribution. And yeah, I don't know. We brought this up once.
Yeah, no, and I think the thing to do right now, Judge, and I'm gonna make a motion to table this item, bring it back at a later date. When we get more informed, better informed as to the pros and cons to it.
my concern is this, and I had a long conversation with the food bank in Laredo. They're not allowed to give county funds unless it's a 501(c) or they have employees stationed. We currently have 2 employees that are paid for by the food bank. They're both in precinct 2, and the food bank is in the process of hiring another employee. They're able to do the food distribution because those employees are in county facilities. I think those employees need to be distributed amongst all the precincts, not all in one precinct, because then it drives the deal that everything goes to one place and then we don't know what's going on. So I agree with you, Commissioner Flores, about not looking at this down the road. But I do think we need to have a conversation with the food bank about how these employees are distributed equally amongst everybody so that we all know what's going on when it comes to food distribution. So I will second your motion to table.
I have a motion, Commissioner Flores. Second, Commissioner Nettleton. All those in favor? Aye. Anybody against? Motion carries 5-0. I'm sorry to be laughing, but it was.
It's so funny.
It's like Rams deal. Would y'all want to put an item on the agenda after we look at this to come back and see about?
I would like to put an item on the agenda to have the food bank show up here so that we can have a discussion about how we're going to deal with this in the future.
Okay, and I will reach out to him. Motion passed, the table, and bring back at a later date. Commissioner Flores made a motion, Commissioner Nettleton seconded, there was a vote of 5-0. Canvassing, we've already done, number 15 is done. We already did the canvassing of the election, yes, ma'am. Item 16, discussion possible action to use money from certificate of obligations to fix the canal along Frontera Road. Frontera Road has a balance of about correct me if I'm wrong, what'd you send me? $497,599 and change. We had spent, $65,300 and some odd dollars. $310 is what the canal cost us to get fixed. I went out there and measured it today. There's probably right at 2 times, that amount still left. We had actually talked about setting aside, when we did the first dollar amount, to set aside more money out of this $497,000 to end up fixing the commode that would help Frontera Road. I don't know what y'all want to do, but
Judge, are we just concreting the sides and the bottom to that canal, or we're gonna cover it? I mean,
they're not going to cover it. They're going to just do the bottom, sir, and the 2 sides. They're not covering.
Who did that first part?
Darrell Davis's group, the people that own the canal.
Yeah.
And we actually tried, we set aside money to go do it. I think we talked about 150,000 or something like that. But when we asked them to contract people, but he wasn't happy contracting individuals because he said he could save us a lot of money. And when you look at the amount of feet that he did versus what he's charging us, he probably saved us about $62,000, I think is what the
How many feet
contract
are
was. I would say there's twice about what he left. He did about 700 plus 800 in
They're only able to do this when
They're able to do it when they turn off the water, which is right after the first of the year till March. So, it's either set aside one more go-round of $65,000 or set around 2 more go-rounds of $65,000, which would finish the canal.
So do we do this before we close the project?
Do we do?
I mean, set aside this money, because there's gonna be leftover money.
No, if we set aside, we know that there is at least double the amount that they've already done. So you're looking at about $135,000 would finish the canal with the prices that he gave us.
it'll take 2 years to
It
do
would
it.
take 2 more years to do it. And then you have all that.
I won't have a problem with setting aside that money as long as we go out for bids, so we can get a better price. I mean, I
We went out for bids, he went out for bids on this other one, and they were $60,000 more expensive. That's how come he did it in-house.
I understand that, it's just gonna take us 2 or 3 years to do it, and the longer that water runs, the more and more it's gonna.
He doesn't.
I like for us to go out for bids, before we.
I think what we had, the conversation that we had last time was that if we take over and we go out for bids, then we would have to require all the insurances and everything because it's for us, it's for the county. So the conversation is that if we let him do it and then he goes out for bids, then he could require whatever is needed, but we would be funding it. The problem with that is that he went out for bid, and the proposals that he got, they were too expensive. I'm serious. It was $62,000 more than the bill that he gave us, something like that. And it was only one person that bid. So they ended up doing it in-house. They bought the rebar, bought the concrete, and then hired B&J Tractor to dig the ditch. And when we talked to him last year, because we were having this conversation last year at this time, he just did not feel comfortable spending $60,000 more of county money when they could do it in-house.
Carlos, we need to have this conversation about precast, open top precast, where you could go through there.
There's closed shapes for the canal, so you can install closed shapes, but I couldn't find anything precast on a U shape.
Well, not only, but we can have them built there in Hondo.
And they had looked at them and they said that it was.
So that it speeds the process up. It's just, we're looking at 2 years, and the longer that water seeps underneath this road that we spent a few $1 million building.
And when they were looking at that, they said the cost was gonna be even more than what we had planned if somebody built it, is what this man had said.
And that's fine, I just would like to see us get done with it and move on. I mean, I don't wanna wait 2 or 3 years, that's just me personally. I would just prefer we contract and get the whole thing finished, so we can save the investment on the road.
So do y'all want to set aside some money now, and then what we'll do is work and have Melissa, we can go out and design some specs and put it out for bid, and then bring it back to the court before the end of the month, before the beginning of the year.
That's my
Yeah,
opinion.
that'll work.
You wanna make that into a motion?
Yeah.
I'll second it.
The motion is for us to go out for bids.
To go out for bids to do the whole thing, and then bring that back to the court, and then we'll set aside whatever that funding is.
Okay, that'll work. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody against? Motion carries 5-0. Discussion possible action on application for Texas Property Tax Code, Section 312, tax abatement agreement with Blue Hills. Mr. Fry,
I
are
make
you
a
here?
motion to deny the request. There is no benefit to the county for giving up approximately $8 to $10 million in taxable revenue on this project.
I have a motion, Commissioner Nettleton, second Commissioner Flores. Mr. Fry, would you like to say a couple words?
Sure.
The motion on the table right now is to deny the abatement, but if you'd like to say a couple words.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Judge Owens, Commissioners. I appreciate you letting me speak. So I'm here on behalf of Grenada, and they're a developer out of Spain, and they have recently started developing in the U.S. and in Texas for solar projects and wind projects. They have approximately about 4,592 megawatts of power around the world. And in Texas itself, they're looking up in Childress, they have a solar project that's about 695 megawatts and 175 megawatts of battery energy storage, which has helped kind of stabilize the grid of the problems that Texas had here a year and a half, 2 years ago. So what they're looking at doing, possibly doing, if the economics are right, and I did present an application, and that was just a number to start out. It's nothing in concrete, but we'd like to have the commissioners consider the application to maybe get into talks and maybe negotiate some type of agreement to allow them to build this project of over $300 million. It's in the northern part of your county. So,
What's the benefit to the county to give up
the benefit of the
taxable
county,
value?
benefit of the county would be to get the investment into the county.
But the investment creates no jobs. It creates some temporary jobs, but no long-term jobs. And we're giving up, according to your numbers, approximately $10 million in taxable revenue over the life of the project.
Well, sir, that could be negotiated, obviously.
No, I understand, but you're asking in your application for a 75% reduction in property tax, which equates to, according to your numbers, and I haven't run the numbers,
Sure.
approximately $10 million over the life of the project that the taxpayers would have to pick up the tab for. I don't see the benefit to the county if we're not creating, if you're gonna build a Tesla here, then I'm more than glad to have that conversation, but this is gonna create several hundred short-time jobs over the period of construction, and then your long-term would be probably 2 employees to manage the project over the life of the project. There is no benefit to the county other than a loss of revenue on the project. I don't see a benefit to Valverde County.
Well, first of all, we did the 75%, but that's all negotiable, whether it could be 50%, 40%.
I understand it's negotiable, but even if it's 25%, what is the benefit to Valverde County and the taxpayers of Valverde County to give up any money at all?
Well, sir, what the thing is, these things will probably not be built if they, some kind of incentives. There's not a lot of fluff in their income when they're built. And it's a benefit to the school district. It's a $350 or $400 million investment that we'll pay full school taxes on.
No, it won't, because Comstock sits in a rich district, so all the money generated out of that would go back to the state of Texas. The school district just did one for a solar farm up there the other day, because if they don't do them under a 312 TERS, they don't get to keep the money because of the way the school district is in Comstock. I'm not saying they won't do it on y'all's project, I don't know, but I don't see the benefit to Valverde County. So that's the reason I see no benefit to the taxpayers of Valverde County.
Well, the benefit, I would say the benefit would be if they can build a project with some kind of agreement in place, versus not having the $300 or $400 million come into your county. And it would probably be eight to 10 jobs, I would think. Because there's going to be probably 2 O&M jobs, and then there will also be the folks that, if they're Vestas turbines or Siemens or whomever, they will have technicians on the ground. So.
I appreciate it, sir. Thank you
Yes,
for
sir.
coming.
Thank you.
I have a motion, Commissioner Nettleton, second Commissioner Flores. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody against the motion? Motion carries unanimously 5-0. Item 18, discussion possible action for approval of resolution declaring an invasion of illegal aliens of Valverde County. Motion. Okay. Have a motion, Commissioner Wardlaw.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Flores.
Did we come up with a draft?
There was, the resolution that kind of mirrors the language of Governor Abbott's, declaration last week. Declaration of invasion, basically. The language is almost identical. I'd like to share with the court, first off, the definition of invasion is when someone's coming in and trying to take over your sovereign land. That's not what's happening here in Valverde County. Since January 1st of 2022, although there have been, the resolution says 323,000 apprehensions by Border Patrol. Criminal trespass arrests in Valverde County, total 15 arrests. There have been probably a couple thousand in Kinney County, a couple thousand in Maverick County, but only 15 arrests in Valverde County for criminal trespass. There have been numerous arrests for human smuggling in Valverde County. Probably 80 to 90% of those involve U.S. citizens. So those aren't immigrants coming over committing those crimes. Those are American citizens. And those aren't crimes against property, which is what's kind of been inferred or implied by an invasion. What's happening in the Ukraine, that's an invasion. We don't have that, in my opinion, here in Valverde County.
Your numbers are based off of what?
My numbers
DPS?
of the Operation Lone Star numbers.
But not the Border Patrol numbers. We don't know what they're.
No, this is purely arrest in Valverde County under Operation Lone Star.
Do we know what the numbers of Border Patrol are, what they're in contact with?
So in talking to Border Patrol actually yesterday, the number of apprehensions in the Del Rio sector, taking into consideration Del Rio sector is 46 counties, they're ranging anywhere from 1,200 to 1,600 apprehensions in the sector.
Per day?
Per day. Valverde County, it's 80 to 100, and you're taking, that's just in Valverde County.
That they're actually having contact with?
Yes.
That does not include all the group out west of here that is going through that nobody has contact with?
Sanderson right now is getting hammered, as is.
Well, it's not just Sanderson. I mean, Punkville, that Lake Tree area, I mean, there's a lot of people going through those countries.
I was out there yesterday for 7 hours and didn't run across anybody.
Well, you may not run across them, but I've talked to all them ranchers. Trust me, they're walking through their property.
The definition of invasion, in your opinion, does the definition of invasion apply to what we're going through right now?
Not what we're experiencing here in Valverde County.
Right.
And the governor's declaration of invasion was based off of?
Total apprehensions by Border Patrol.
No, but if the definition of invasion doesn't apply, then how is the governor using the word
You
invasion?
have to ask him that question, not me. Now, all that being said, if the governor has already declared an invasion for the state of Texas, I think it's probably a moot point for an individual county to do the same thing, because the governor has already done it on behalf of the state.
Okay, any other discussion? I have a motion, Commissioner Wardlaw, second Commissioner Flores. Commissioner Wardlaw, how do you vote? Yes. Commissioner Vasquez, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Nettleton, how do you vote?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Commissioner Flores, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote no. Motion passes 4-1. Item 19, discussion possible action of approval to increase annual salary for Ray Salgado, Precinct 2 Foreman.
Judge, I'd like to make a motion. Oh, go ahead.
This is probably my fault. Well, no, my fault. I asked Commissioner, Vasquez to wait, to see how our numbers were coming out, see if we were filling all our positions and see how our numbers were coming out. If not, I'd have put this in the budget to begin with, to increase this individual's salary to what all the other foremans have done, which we've always done this in the past. So I would make a motion to increase his salary comparable to whatever the other foremans in the precincts are.
Second.
Have a motion, Commissioner. Judge made a motion, second Commissioner Wardlaw. All those in favor? Aye. Money to come out of payroll funds. That work? There's money still in payroll funds because we've not hired and stuff like that. Go ahead.
Countywide continues, just your department, you're fully staffed already?
I've got one opening.
Okay.
But there's not really, with the 2 months that are there, it's not gonna be enough to make up the difference.
No? Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Anybody against? Motion carries, 5-0. Item 20, discussion possible action approval to increase annual salary for Mayra Diaz, precinct 4, she's listed as a clerk 1. Right now, I think she's making 25, is that right?
Yes, sir.
25,918.66.
Judge, the reason I put this item on the agenda, she transferred within a department in Broward County, and she was making $35,000. And County Clerk 1, Precinct 4 would pay $25K. She's highly qualified for the job. She's very, very efficient at what she does. So I'd like to bump her up at least $5,000, bring up her salary to $30,000 per year. And that's my motion.
Did she know she was getting a pay cut when she took the position?
Yes, sir, she did.
I have a motion with Commissioner Flores. Do I have a second?
Second, yes.
Commissioner Nettleton, sir, your comment?
I just asked if she knew she was taking a pay cut.
And I was looking for Juanita. I don't see her there, and I don't see her up on top. And I was gonna ask her the same question, but we did have this conversation with her, what you just brought up. She was advised that she would be taking a pay cut when she took the job. And I asked Juanita that last week. I have a motion, Commissioner Flores, second Commissioner Vasquez. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody against? Aye. Motion carries, 3-2. Item 21, discussion possible action or approval to purchase soft drinks for volunteers utilizing community center budget.
Judge, reason for this item is that we've been very active with different events, especially food distribution. And I'd like to get this approved, that we buy soft drinks for volunteers for special events to include food distribution.
Is that a motion?
Yes, sir.
I have a motion, Commissioner Flores.
And this is for all precincts, not just precinct 4. I mean, not everybody's got food distribution.
Second. I have a motion, Commissioner Flores, second Commissioner Wardlaw. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody against? Against, motion carries, 4-1. Item 22, discussion possible action to adjust the community center travel and training budget from available appropriations.
For some reason, I overlooked this item on the budget, and she has no monies for travel and training. Matt?
Yes, Commissioner, that is true. Everything he says is true. There's no budget.
So far, you've done good.
So, yes, there was no budget in there. We had to pull something from contingency, whatever the court decides.
How much did we have for her the past year?
I'm sorry?
How much did we have for her for travel and training the past year?
The past year, I don't know. I'd have to look at I'd have to access the records.
You know, table and bring that. We can look up the dollars.
Yeah, sure.
We can bring that back after executive session.
Okay, motion table, bring it back after executive session.
I have a motion, Commissioner Flores, second Commissioner Nettleton. All those in favor? Aye. Anybody against? Motion carries 5-0. We will bring back, item 22 after executive. All right. Item 23, discussion possible action to authorize county judge to sign the federal surplus property renewal agreement for 3 years and provide a list of authorized personnel.
Right.
Have a motion, Commissioner Nettleton, second Commissioner Wardlaw. All those in favor? Aye. Anybody against? Motion carries 5-0. Item 24, discussion possible action on approving final plat for High Lonesome Ranch subdivision, A, 7,359.64 acre subdivision.
Motion to approve. We do have everything in there that they will never be county roads.
Yes, correct.
Period.
And about the easement that we're not doing any loss. And it's part of the plat, the easement there.
Okay, and did we get final approval yet from TDCQ about the requirements?
We got an email, but not an official letter. We got an email saying that we're gonna expect to receive soon a letter from them.
Would that be considered?
We don't know what that letter's gonna state, though. So one thing is the email kind of hinted.
Well, I don't know what the email said, so.
I can show it to you later.
I just wanted something on the new plats that says if they're less than 650 acres, they're required to get a septic permit to put them in. I'm just asking that that be put on the plat once we get TDCQ approval. I just want.
Is that your motion?
Yeah.
I'll second that, and I've got a question. Where's this, property located?
Okay, let me show you.
Over
This
there in
is-
Loma?
It sits on.
Part of it sits in his precinct, part of it sits in my precinct.
Oh, okay.
It's off the Highway 163 going to the east on Juno Road, and then there's through a private easement. It's partially located, mostly located in precinct 2 and a fraction on precinct 3.
Okay.
And there are 97 tracts. The smallest one is 27 acres. The biggest one is 271 acres. All of them are greater than 10.
So they're not providing water, sewer, they don't have to provide anything. I just want to make it clear on the plat that
The legend's there.
we
We're
will not
Mhm.
be maintaining the roads.
That's
We
correct.
will not be responsible for the roads, period. And that if we do get approval on future plats, I want to see that they're required to get a permit in order to get septic.
No.
Have a motion, Commissioner Nettleton, second Commissioner Flores. All those in favor? Aye. Anybody against? Motion carries 5-0. Item 25, discussion possible action on closeout document update on Frontera Road project.
Commissioner Flores request me to present this item to the court. I'm just presenting final numbers on the closeout of the Frontera Road project. We receive all the available funding from TxDOT. That's consistent 3.6 million pretty much. And I have a layout here of what's expended. And we have the Hunter contract, we have Coastal Engineering for project management, we have the Geotech company, we have Tannenbaum and the rebid services and construction services. And I'm also including the canal company for what they did on Frontera Road, the layout of the concrete. And that's coming out of $5,421,720.95. If you deduct the available TxDOT funding on the $3,678,000, Valverde County needed to fund $1,762.64. That money came out from 2 million of the 2021 CO and the remaining balance of the 2016 tax note. But we have a difference of $497,599.63 that was not spent according to what was budgeted.
And the only other thing right now, would be if we get bids on
the canal. Yeah.
And then what we'll do is we'll work on that right now, put some specs together on what's already there, and then go out and actually measure all the linear feet that are still left to do. One of the things that there's going to be short a little bit of money, or not short, that the canal, that Darrell Davis did not want to do is where the pecan trees are when you first come out. He didn't want to do anything there.
Is there anything we can do about that?
I don't know if we could probably dig down and maybe we could put a wall in just the bottom or something to help with some of the seepage.
Okay.
But we can look at that and bring that when we figure we'll put all that in there. Okay.
I just want to see the investment be destroyed because the canal continues to seep under the road.
Yeah. No, Judge, I'd like to see, maybe, with the leftover money from Frontera Road project, if we could create a budget and account for future use on, Cienega Road. Okay.
Well, let's do this, if you don't mind, let's work on this, and then we can bring it back all at once and we'll talk about it. Would you be okay with that?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
No action required on this one, and we'll just bring everything back as soon as we get bids. Item 26, discussion possible action on an estimate on a cut road located on 308 Milagro Road, and if funds need to be certified. This account here, there's an individual that is wanting, water connection on Milagro Road. They're going across the county road. So we would be, doing the work in order to put everything that is cut back. There was an estimate of, go ahead, 7,000.
Yeah, so the owner is trying to extend the water line coming off of Bundy Trail. The city of Del Rio is working on preparing an estimate to come from here, extend the existing water line all the way to the east right over Milagro Lane, and then we will be open cutting the road and then put everything back. So the cost of materials and using county crews and county equipment with FEMA rates, it's coming up at $7,975.41. And that's including a $500 fee that the county has for open cut on county roads.
When you say county, I mean, we're not installing the water.
No.
All we're doing is, we'll end up, saw cutting the road, digging the trench, the city will lay it, and then we'll fill it all back in.
Why are we doing it, period? I thought the city did these extensions themselves.
Well, for them to be able to cut through a county road, that was my stipulation. That they would have to pay for us to, fix that trench in a way that it wouldn't fall apart.
No, I understand now. I just don't understand why we don't just require the city to do it in the manner that we specify to make sure the road doesn't fall apart.
No, well,
And if they don't, then they have to reimburse us.
You've seen their patching. Well, so I don't want to take a chance. Not on Milagro Lane. I don't.
Why don't you make them bore?
You have that option.
They didn't want to do it.
Well, they don't want to.
They couldn't afford it. Well, the guy that requesting this water line is paying for everything, and so.
And at the end of the day, Commissioner Flores did not feel comfortable with the city doing the work. He thought since it's a county road, he'd feel more comfortable him doing the work. That's why we're here.
And that's fine. I just was asking the question.
No, that's the reason. He didn't feel comfortable. And at the end of the day, this is what it costs. I asked them to put it on the agenda, bring it to us for the simple reason that this man gave us a copy of a check for 7,000 and change, but gave us a copy of a check, and I told, Carlos that, I'd rather have the money, not a copy of it, in our account, and if it doesn't take all.
He was able to give him the money.
What we estimated that it would take, then we could give some of it back, but I'd feel more comfortable if we had the cashier's check in our hand. So my question, and trying to figure out, how's this gonna be possible to bring in the money to make sure that he's able to pay for everything that he needs to get paid for? But how do we certify the funds? I just didn't feel comfortable with a copy of a cashier's check.
There's a provision in the transportation code that allows us to do these types of things.
That's correct.
And I don't remember the provision, but it defines how it's supposed to be done. Maybe we could look at that. It exists, I just haven't read it in a while. But normally, we would have to set up a policy on how we do these. It's under the, you may know what it is. I
Yeah,
don't
you're
remember
correct.
off the top of
There
my
is.
head.
A little bit, once again.
But it allows us the ability to do these types for city water, sewer, utilities, those types of things. A policy. And
It does. You are
And
correct.
my deal is though, that they wanna move forward. I just feel more comfortable with check in hand.
Okay, and then the fund's just gonna reimburse the operating account? Okay, what we can do is we can certify them, bring them in, increase the budget, and then if we're under budget, then
We can figure that out.
the remainder
Yeah.
can go out. So,
Under this, with the item the way it is right here, we don't actually have the check that we put another item in 2 weeks to bring in the money and certify the funds, tell them that we need the check and then we'll certify the funds.
Great.
So
We need to authorize him to do the work though, right?
That's his precinct.
Yeah, so it's kind of, I'd like to just clarify that we're not laying any pipe on this project. We're not doing nothing for this individual, the city, he's got a contract with the city, so he's dealing with the city. All we're dealing with is county road, fixing the road, and that's it.
Is the city gonna reduce his cost for the connection since he's paying us to repair it?
No, he's not paying us for connection.
They gave
No, but I mean, the city charges a connection cost.
No, all they're doing is they've actually given them an estimate of going down by linear feet and what they're doing for pipe and to lay the pipe.
But they're not charging him
No,
for the.
not for the road cut or nothing like that, no. No. You bring it back in 2 weeks, make sure you have the check.
He gave me the check.
Uh-huh.
He gave me the check.
Well, when did he give it to you? Because last time I talked to you, all you had
You
was.
got the check with you?
You have the check?
I saw the check. No.
Oh, you saw the check. You have to have the check.
Okay, let's clarify. Do you have the check or do you have a copy?
No, I don't.
Okay, and that's what I just said, was that you had a copy.
Mm-hmm.
And what I said also was that I wanted the check. Okay? So if you'll put an item on the agenda and bring the check back.
Okay.
All right, no action needed for item 26. Item 27, if we could table this and then bring it back after.
Motion to table.
Second.
Have a motion, Commissioner Nettleton, second Commissioner Flores. All those in favor? Aye. Anybody against? Okay, motion, item is tabled. Item 28. No, and if you look at your package, what he sent in, I don't know how he can make the explanation or the backup information any smaller. For him, he has big paper, and for us, it's like little bitty. Thank you, Ram, for providing that. I had it.
Killed to do that.
The item, I'm not gonna read it all. Discussion possible action on approving 2022-2023 computer refresh plan. We had $86,000 that we had in capital outlay. I asked Ram to bring this back to the court because it is in capital, and everybody that's on that list brings it back to the court. There is $82,490. There's another invoice for $2,557.81, and another one for $755.88. It all totals to $85,803.69. He has the funds in capital outlay, and this is for computers and to buy computers. We've done this for the last 3
No
years.
extra money from us.
No, sir.
Motion to approve.
Jesus Christ.
Second.
You couldn't have just said that in 3 words.
Just put the, have a motion, Commissioner Nettleton, second Commissioner Flores. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody against? Motion carries 5-0. Item 49, discussion possible action authorizing Sheriff Joe Frank Martinez to purchase from CDW-G a Microsoft Surface Pro 8 tablet in the amount of $1,787.10 to be taken out of operation.
Motion to approve.
You good with it?
Yes, sir.
Second.
I have a motion, Commissioner Flores, second Commissioner Nettleton. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Anybody against? Motion carries 5-0. Jesus. Item 30, close,
You gonna do the addendum or you gonna
no,
do executive?
no, we can do the agenda. Let me see if I can. I don't have it with me. You have a copy of the addendum? Here. You have it? I'm sorry. Just did not come prepared. The addendum, discussion possible action on backflow connection for, Escondido Estates for Rancho Del Rio and Rise Estates. We had set up some money to install these backflows. All the backflow, well, we have 41 backflows, at Joe Jackson's house, which I think, I'd really appreciate it if they would bring them in and store them here, store them at the county yard, but either way. We have, funds, or we have pipe to connect, some of the backflows, I think they said, 21. How many pieces of pipe?
20.
20.
But Mario this morning just told me he had 42 backflows.
Okay, so it's gone up, so there's 42.
There's 42.
Okay.
And he picked up the fittings and everything to assemble.
And these were the ones that were bought in 2019?
I don't know if those are the ones.
They would have bought before then. Some of them would have been bought before then for the simple reason that, this project was started when Ramiro was here. And then when Commissioner Wardlaw came here, they actually threw it in high gear and started burying more pipe, when he first came in. The fittings were in 2019. When?
I thought they were 2017.
Okay.
And fittings were stored at the county warehouse, and a lot of them disappeared. That's why they're stored at Joe Jackson's now, because we did have some disappear.
Okay.
Who made the determination of what type of backflow?
It was on the plans, who's that? Huh? GRC.
Why would they do RPs instead of PVV? They're half the money. The PVV is half the money of what an RP is. And that's what the city has said. That's fine, but
And we have another item also that the same people recommended the pumps. So we have an issue with the pumps. So where we're at today,
so we voted to set aside money out of contingency for backflows and to hire RKW to put them in,
yes,
right?
yes.
And
we took,
where?
but we did take out money out of, the tax note. This is correct. We took out money out of Martin Wardlaw's, tax note to buy a bunch of the fittings, or some of the fittings for the backflows. I remember that we had set aside money for, and repeat what you just said, basically for fittings and for, backflows to be hooked up. So during that time, I don't know, and we're looking into it. I know that there was a break in some equipment, that we rented. It was an $18,000 bill for equipment. So I don't know, and if that, maybe that money for the backflows, was it used for that? In order to pay for that equipment, it wasn't? Okay, so I'm trying to figure out,
That's all right, Judge.
Yeah, I don't know, that equipment direct was 18,000. There was a reimbursement from TAC that came in around 17,000. That was matched, tied to precinct 4 operating.
so that money did come back in.
And it went into where it came out of. The money set aside back in, you said 17, 18? And if it was set aside, it may have come out of contingency, and then if it was never spent,
If it wasn't used, it was just rolled back in.
it was rolled back in. Now, there is some money in the tax note. I don't know if there was some unappropriations and reappropriations inside the 16 tax note, because there still is funding available there in precinct 1. So I don't know if that is it.
What is the criteria for those tax notes? I mean, when we borrowed the money, we set up the criteria for the usage. Does this qualify?
Well, I'd imagine a pump would be considered capital as a part of a line, correct?
I'm talking about the backflow.
Oh, the backflow. Yeah, it would need to fit the criteria if we were to use
I
those
mean,
funds.
you said we expended money out of the tax note.
Out of 2016.
How much?
$7,033.89.
For a capital improvement.
Well, I don't remember what terms we set the tax note on.
Well, it would have to be. You can't borrow money for operations.
No, I understand. I mean, I don't know what, if when you borrow money, you list what your usages are. I don't know if we put capital or just capital period. Or,
Yeah, usually those standard language in there you do. Yeah.
Where we're at today is that we have 42 backflows. We have enough pipe, the nipples, the T's, the elbows, and stuff like that bought for 20 backflows is what you counted.
That's what I had.
And since 2017, there has been no backflow installed in precinct 1, whether it be Rancho del Rio, Rise, whatever. Since 2017, when there was pipes and fittings bought for that purpose, right? So, and I'm just going to keep talking here for a little bit. We have asked the city to accept these water lines, everything except, that one check mark. And there's people here that are from that area, so that's how come I'm gonna go ahead and continue. We have asked the city to accept it, they have, but during this whole time, we have told the city that the meters, we've given them a list of meters, and we've also told them that there was backflows installed. So I have since then apologized since Friday to the city, that there is meters installed, but there is no backflows installed. So the individuals, the 20-some odd individuals, 26, is that correct? 32 with the other spot?
Yes, correct.
32 individuals, and these are 32 individuals that could get water today if the backflows were hooked up. So we have no backflows installed. We need to come up with a dollar amount to install the backflows. Did we get to reach out to?
I did, and he gave me a verbal estimate of $485
485
to install and to test.
to install our material.
Yes.
So as of today, we need 32, whatever that number is.
He wasn't too sure on the permit.
Monday?
Well, they're gonna require a permit, so he's gonna go up on the price. The city's gonna require.
Well, and that's what, yesterday when I spoke with Melissa, I'd asked her, yesterday, right? I'd asked her to get a price as to what it would cost, to install it with the permit, but he wasn't sure on the permit. So it's 485 is what you're telling me? And today, we can install 32, which is 15,520. Commissioner Nettleton, what's the permit cost?
It's, I think they're 50 or 75 bucks.
Okay.
There's two pieces to it, so it'd do $100, it would be on the same. Each.
So you're at $18,720 for 32 backflows, that those 32, if they were installed, the pipe's already, what's buried, there's 32 backflows.
You can't do all of them. We haven't got approval on all.
No, we can do 32.
The city's already approved.
This part right here, which is, Cocobolo, where the magenta color's at, and we've already gone over this. The magenta color starting at the blue, I don't know why it's magenta. But what is in magenta starting at the blue, where it says Cocobolo up, and then back down Quail Trail, and a little bit down that one. Those connections that are there, that pipe has not been accepted. Everything else over here has been accepted. So to do the 32, we would need the $18,700 and some odd dollars, to get them done.
Matt, where can we get that?
You have me.
The month,
If you just, we'll give you that information after executive session, we'll have it all figured out. Is that the need? You need 18,000,
Okay.
right?
Judge?
Is that the need?
Judge, you're doing a good
Yep,
job.
I know.
Could you report
Okay.
on the meeting we had the other day?
We'll do as soon as we get past this one.
Okay.
Because you've already brought up the question, where we're getting the money. So let's get past one thing at a time.
Okay.
There's 18,000 some odd dollars. In reality, we're probably gonna have other shit come up, stuff come
You're
up.
looking at about 25,000.
Okay.
I would feel more comfortable setting aside $20,000.
Okay.
Can you give me a cost of how much money taxpayers have put into this project since we started?
That's gonna go over many years, even before my tenure, but yeah, I can do that for you.
How long has this project been going?
That was before we came in office, Commissioner Wardlaw, so that
It would
was,
have been, when this first project was first presented, it would have been in 2011, 2012.
okay,
Because we installed our first water lines in 2012.
Yeah.
Right? And this project was part of that, which would have been the main thing. It would have been, it was in phases, so we're missing everything back this way. That's what was installed when it first got started, was the line back up, coming back into town, I would say right around the trailer park's at, right before you get to SL 79. It was connected from there all the way to here and with the bore, and then it just stopped because we were waiting on more funds in order to put the lines and then put in the tank. But it would have been 2012, I think.
So 11 or 12 years we've been at this, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and we still don't have a water to anybody.
And the patience these citizens have shown.
I would like the number of how much taxpayer money is going into this project.
Okay.
Since it started. Because
Okay.
we've dumped a lot of money into this project.
We have? On a grant.
And I have asked several times that we set up a deal where we add an additional fee to the water bill to recoup that cost. And it's been denied numerous times. Even if you put the backflows in, we still wouldn't be able to get water to the pumps don't work.
Well, I think we need to take off on something. Yeah, chicken or the egg.
Well, you gotta do both. So there's
So,
an
we got two
additional,
items. We got two items.
there's an
So
additional
we
amount of
can
money over this 25 that has.
We can set the 20,000 aside for this. He has money in operating, he has money in parks. I didn't see, there was still an $11,000 in 2016 that was still showing,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mhm.
So if you wanted to use $11,000 out of your 2016, to part of the 20, you're still $9,000 short. He has operating, you tell where you want to.
Operate,
That works, 11,000.
we want to take care of it, Matt.
Okay, we do. However, we still do have a court discretion line in 2016 tax note, and we know that 2016 tax note is coming years, but I got shaking head, so we won't do that.
All right, let's do 11 out of the 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll make a motion, 11 out of 2016, 9 out of,
Out of which one in 2016?
huh?
Out of what?
He's got a 26, he's got 11.
His 26.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It ain't nobody else's, none of that's discretionary, nothing. It's 11 out of his, 20. Let's take all of what's left, because it's 11,000 and change. So let's take everything out,
And the
whatever the
remainder.
balance is, take it out of the balance.
Mhm. And then there is
So
something.
make up to 20,000, that's my motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody against? Motion carries 5-0. We're gonna take off before we get into the other one, because we're gonna have the same discussion. Everybody take a breath. On the judge's comments, Judge Foss is here, and he has been nominated and selected as president of South Texas Justice of the Peace and Constables Association for 2022-2023. Is that correct? Judge, if y'all come up, I'd like to have a picture with the court. Judge, come on up, Ronnie, I want a picture. This is impressive, to have an individual from Valverde County, Yes, I didn't do a resolution because, I'll put it out to me. Sorry. Yeah, come on up.
Wait on my.
Yeah. Wait on Mark. Yeah, wait on me not.
Right there.
Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Yes, sir. Come on up. He's gonna do it under judge's comments since he's a judge. Whatever.
Judge, Commissioners, I also want to state that during our conference this past week, our 29th annual conference, and we had it in South Padre, and over the course of the last several years, we've always had it in South Padre, Laredo, Corpus Christi, and so on and so forth. But this year, I submitted a bid to have it here in Del Rio, Texas this coming year. And we will have our conference for the South Texas Justice of the Peace and Constable Association, 30th Annual Conference in Del Rio this coming year in October.
Good job.
So I just want to share that with you. We're very proud of what we're doing, and I really want to put Del Rio and Valverde County on the map for us, and I think we're pretty close to that. So I thank you, and hopefully when the time comes, I don't think I'll be asking for much, possibly just your attendance, so we can recognize each and every one of you. Thank you so much.
A couple of weeks ago when he came, under judge's comments, a couple of weeks ago when he came, I told him, if we would figure out when this is happening and all that, and then sort of probably come back to the court, maybe be able to advertise and bring more people in, maybe use some hot tax money, which we'll have that conversation at a later time.
Right.
All right?
So thank you so much. I appreciate that. And excuse me, I got a gentleman just waiting for me.
Well,
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, congratulations. Okay, I'm gonna walk around to the back. Item 2, discussion possible action on pumps for Escondido water lines. We were out there, we had a meeting, and this is what Commissioner Ford wanted me to say. We had a meeting on Friday with residents from Escondido and Rise. We thought the backflows were installed. Backflows were not installed. We've already passed that, jumped that. We were gonna have a meeting with, we had a meeting with the city, out there, the pumps, you step in at any point. When it was designed, we've got pumps, that are 150, 160 gallons a minute what they produce. When you turn on a fire hydrant, you need 750 gallons a minute. So between both pumps, doesn't work. We'll be able to adjust some of the pressure down at the bottom, which we had 60 pounds at the line and 60 pounds at the tank, and less than 30 pounds up on top of the hill where the top of the magenta's in. So it won't work. You need a minimum of 35 pounds to pass TCEQ. When this thing was designed, he said we should be able to crank the pressure down at the tank, fix it to where that will go up to 80, 85, and then we have 40 up on top of the hill. So we're going to try that first, but it's not going to fix the problem with the fire hydrants. We don't have enough coming out of the fire hydrants. When we met with the city, we talked about doing a pump that would do 750 gallons to 1,000 gallons a minute. After visiting and more conversation, there is 2 pumps there. We'll need a primary and a secondary. The primary would be the one that does the 150, 160 to take care of household. Once the flow, they're both controlled by flow. Once the flow drops, there's a secondary pump, which will be the bigger pump, will kick in. That pump right there, in looking at cost, is already somewhere around $7,500. Could be a little bit more, could be a little bit less, but I think with everything that we're looking at, somewhere around $7,500 to fix a flaw in the system without throwing rocks at whatever.
It's not a flaw in the system, it's a misdesign. The engineer didn't do their job and we paid them for it. It's not a flaw. Somebody didn't do the damn job.
Wasn't our engineer.
Well, no, it wasn't our engineer, but.
So, we've asked the city, bottom line is what do we need to do? We've already taken steps, the court's already taken steps to fix the backflows, we'll do that. We will have to put in a pump. And we'll have to take it a little bit at a time. We're hoping that the pump fixes our problem. If it doesn't, then we will have to come back. There's a couple of calculations. This pump should work. But if not, we might have to come back and put a bigger tank. But for now, I think the pump will work. What we're looking at is that this thing's not accepted, and it won't get accepted until we fix this. And I'm pointing at the magenta. There is precinct 2 and precinct 4 is scheduled for the 29th to go before utilities and council to move forward. That's one of the things that has come out of this. We've split the projects, each one of the projects by itself in order to be able to move forward. This system right here is a system that we set aside between all 3 precincts, $420,000 of county money in order to complete the 3 systems because the pipe had gone out. But this system right here, they will not let us bury pipe until they accept this one and we fix that. In order to get this accepted, we need to fix that. So
And when does that grant, when is the deadline on that?
we are fixing to ask for an extension, but the problem with all this is that the end of May is when our another round of grants money comes up for these projects. So if this is not done, we will not be able to apply for another $1 million in grant money if this is not done. We've had the conversation that I'm probably gonna make people mad. Precinct 2 and 4, the city does not have problems with precinct 2 and 4 installing water. Precinct 1, we have an issue with precinct 1. Because there's stuff that we said has been done, hasn't been done. We are fixing that today. But we will lose $1 million on this. We will lose $1 million for future funding if precincts 1, 2, and 4 do not install their water lines. All 3 do not install their water lines by, say, the 1st of May, okay? The other problem is that the grant money that they're paying us as the pipes that are coming in and we're getting reimbursed and all this, those funds are in jeopardy because we will not have substantial completion. We have an audit coming in at the end of December to figure out what we've done. So we'll have to go through that audit, and then sometime by the end of January, we will have to have substantial completion. If not, those funds could be in jeopardy. If you got very high, is what it amounts to. And what I've asked the city is if we can get these turned on, put the pump in. If we've ordered the pump, will they accept this one? If we order the pump, and just accept this one, because then we can take the other steps, because I gotta be able to start burying pipe in January on this.
Yeah, but you don't even know if the pump's gonna work. So we're gonna spend
The calculation.
7, 8, 9, I understand, but until you put it in, and then if it doesn't work, then we gotta come back and spend more money.
On a tank.
And when you get to the top of that hill, you're still gonna have to put a tank and another pump in.
The system that we have right now, with the pump and with everything that's there, should handle this because all this is coming downhill, all right? In here somewhere, we're gonna have to do something, that way this water is not going backwards, right, that we don't have right now. The other phase, and that's what you're getting at, we are doing a study right now for the rest of all this. My conversation with the people from Escondido was that all of this still has to come before the court, whether it happens or not. This right here has already come before the court. With the pump and everything that we're doing, this will take care of that. Anything for Quail Trail and Cocobolo, meat, anything above that, anything over here, that system will not take care of it at all. There's nothing that we can do to this system to take care of anything from here up. There's nothing there. So, if we get past this, it'll have to come back before the court, all this over here, and we already know that there will have to be a tank put in over here somewhere. And the tank doesn't do us any good, because we will have to run a line from here, a designated line from here, all the way up to this tank.
So it'll be a double line then?
It'll have to be a dedicated line. That's how come when we were visiting with people from Escondido, like I told them, all this got to come back for the court, because all the study in the world over here, we're gonna have to figure out how much money we're gonna keep putting into this. Okay, y'all have stayed pretty much in line with what our goal is. I think there was a backhoe that you took out at one point for rental on a backhoe. We did a rock saw, but you paid out of state for it out of operating. Y'all have stayed within budget, pretty much. Anything that we do up here is gonna be a nightmare. My concern today is that we need to get this turned on. I need to get these people water, that way when we go back to the Texas Water Development Board, that what we told them is true. And from here this way, we need to start burying pipe in January. If not, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but our grant's in jeopardy. We spent $420,000 out of county money in these 3 projects to move forward. All right, so come January, y'all need to start burying pipe. So come up on precincts 2 and 4, November, we'll know, yes, given the green light, y'all can go. Precinct 1, we have to do a lot over here to hook up this other one, to bury the rest of the pipe.
What's the
And then
time
we're gonna
frame?
move that pipe to another place because it's not part of the grant.
What's the time frame on getting the pumps?
Minimum 30 days, probably 45 days. That's to get them, Commissioner. That's not to install.
No, I understand.
So I'm gonna just add a little bit more. We're probably gonna end up spending, I said 7,500, probably we're gonna need another 10,000 to put this thing in. With the calculations that they've done and what he's done, it should work. Nothing's gonna work over here. When we go to bring that back to the court, nothing else can we hook up other than to do these extensions. And the only reason that these might work we'll say that because there's still a possibility for another tank.
What does that tank cost? Because we spent quite a bit of money on it.
We spent, I don't know. I mean, I don't even remember those numbers. I can tell you that when we talked about this, when we first talked about it, the system that was designed was supposed to work without a tank, and then we ended up coming back in because we needed a 20,000 gallon tank there, and then we were gonna need, a system to pressure, right? So, we did the line first, they bored underneath, the county bought the property for the tank, we put up the tank, and
So basically, the design for this project was trial and error.
what happened is that when it was first designed, it wasn't designed to have fire hydrants. And when the city came back in after they accepted this, when we started adding more, they wanted the fire hydrants. So,
Because we didn't get prior approval before we applied and went down that road to find out what the city wanted.
yeah,
Which I believe I've made that comment, I don't know how many times about these projects, and we continue to apply for funding without ever having a conversation with the city of Del Rio, and then we find ourselves in this mess. And now we're gonna spend a whole lot of money
we will
to
end up
fix
spending.
something so that we don't jeopardize the future of our grants.
And the grants, not only the future of the grants that we could apply for, but also the grant that we already got in place.
When are we gonna learn that we are not in the business of doing this? What's it gonna cost us to learn that lesson?
I will tell you that precincts 2 and 4, everything that they've installed, has been accepted. Precinct 1, everything that they've installed has not been accepted. So, we just spent 20,000, and I will ask the court for another 10,000 to be able to put the pump in.
Is there any way to verify it's gonna work before we spend the money?
The calculations that have been done, say that the pump will work. And what we can do is look at them again and then send it. I don't feel real comfortable sending it to the people that designed it the first time.
No, I'm more inclined to go find somebody that you trust to review the calculations to make sure they work.
Whenever it was designed for 300 gallons per minute, which is enough for the houses. The problem right now is just the fire hydrants.
Well, the fire hydrants and the pressure, because pressure's not kicked up enough to have 40 PSI pump.
Yes.
Did the engineer not calculate the pressure loss going up the field?
He calculated the pressure loss, but, and you visited with him. So he says down at the bottom, it has to be at 85 in order to get 40 up on top of the hill. The problem right now is the down at the bottom is 60 PSI. So I have.
Is that because we reduced it to 1.5 inches?
No, the actual design that it has here, these pumps right here, this is all 8-inch pipe, except for right here, this is 4-inch pipe. And then right here, on both of them, it goes from 4 inch to 1.5 inches, and then coming out is 2 inch, not 1.5 inches. If I'm not mistaken when I looked at it. I don't know what it says on the plan, but it looks like 2 inch. But at the end of the day, it was designed for no fire hydrants. The thing about it though is though that our pressure, we have a pressure gauge here and then we have another pressure gauge right here. And both of these are showing 60 PSI. With 60 PSI, you have 20, 22 pounds or something up on top of the hill. So one of the things that I've asked Carlos is to get with this guy, whoever put it in, to get him back here and readjust this to where our pressure here is at 85, so I can have 40 up there. It will not help my problem with the fire hydrants. But we will have to put in a secondary pump that in case a fire hydrant opens, we go to 750 or 800 gallons a minute once it opens.
And do we have enough storage capacity there? How quick will it drain that storage?
This tank right here, we have more than 750 gallons a minute coming in. And we asked for the level of when this valve turns on and off as to how far down it goes. I think the other day we were down there and it was 10,000, 8,000, right, gallons. What was in there? So we asked that the difference between when it turns on and turns off, that be shrunk. So we have enough water in here. That way, if all else fails, at least we can get 750 gallons out, and I'm not sucking this tank right.
Yeah, because once you do that, then you got all kinds of.
Oh, yeah. And then if we do that, then we gotta come back and then readjust everything. So they were looking here, and they did say on, Friday? They did say on Friday that what was coming in was more than 750 gallons a minute. They thought it was around 1,000 of it over. What was coming in from here doesn't have a lot of pressure, but this tank's not pressurized anymore. Just this one. So in doing the calculations, if we put in something over 750 gallons a minute, this system should work. And it's 30 feet. I'm not bending my wrench on that. From here to
It's kind of like a mechanic, just keep changing parts and figure out which one works.
I did tell them that we need part of the cell phone a little at a time. From the tank to here, 30 foot.
Elevation view on the tank is 1185 and then right here. 1085 and then it's 45 feet.
45? So the city said 30, but like I told them, if you will please do the calculations to figure out what we're running. So with the calculations that we're doing right now, or that we've done, if we put in another pump, we should be fine. Okay, I'm not gonna sound.
11 years I've been hearing this, so I'm just kind of curious. And I don't blame you, you're not an engineer, but apparently you know more about this than all the engineers that we've hired. So,
Well, I can tell you that when we went out there and looked, I couldn't believe that we took a 8-inch pipe everywhere that we buried, choked it down to 4-inch, and then choked that 4-inch down to 1.5 inches. So, again, I'm no hydrologist, not an engineer, but,
it's gonna take a rocket scientist to figure out that ain't gonna work.
but we will need, for somebody to come up with another $10,000 to put in a pump.
He's still not running out for 80.
That's the short end of the story. We need another $10,000 per pump.
What would it cost, or what is it gonna cost, if we get approval and we do the rest of this project? Because that's all solid rock up there. We're gonna have to run a rock salt cut.
Yep.
Every square inch of it is
We've
solid.
already got 100,000 set aside for a rock salt to cut that open.
And the city has approved the plans for whatever we're putting in.
The city from here this way has not approved anything, won't even look at it until we get the problem fixed with the water main.
So we don't even know what we have on the design, the city will even accept.
This part over here,
Yeah.
they have looked at it. I can tell you they've not even put it on the Utilities Commission.
No, I understand. What I'm asking is if they looked at it and say that the design would meet their criteria. I understand it hasn't been approved by utilities. Are they gonna come back and say, wait a minute, now you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do this, you need to do that?
I can tell you what we've done. They've looked at the plans. They will not put it on the Utilities Commission until we get the problem resolved with all this, and that whatever we're doing will take care of this, the calculations will take care of this. So they won't approve this until we get this done.
At this point, we're gonna have to take baby steps to get everything approved. I mean, there's still a lot
I'm just saying
pending.
again, and I'm trying real hard not to throw rocks. I don't have a problem, I'm gonna say, I don't have a problem with precinct 2 and 4 putting in water lines. Where we're having an issue with the city, and I keep getting hammered, and is with precinct 1. So we will need to do a better job, if I don't ask a question and it's real specific, to answer the question. If I sat here and lied to these people on Thursday, that I told them that all the backflows were in, everybody was in the room, nobody told me that the backflows were not installed. So I just blatantly lied. I did the same thing to the city, because I thought the backflows were in, and I thought that when we set aside money in 2017 and 2019, that the backflows were installed. There's no way to fix a problem unless we all communicate. And there's nothing wrong with being wrong if we're gonna fix the problem.
What would it hire a contractor to come in here and finish this damn thing, get it out of the way? Get the engineer designed right, get the city to stamp off on it, and hire a contractor to put this damn thing in and get it out of the way. And can they even do it by May?
I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna ask for, I'm gonna do it again. I need $10,000 to put in a pump, to try to move this project forward, so they'll accept this. That way they can take that to the Utilities Commission. That's where we're at today. So, where do you wanna get it from? You wanna call him back up here? Hey.
You listening, Matt?
The whole time.
Good deal.
$10,000, like I said, in that 2016 tax note, which we do need to extinguish at some point in
If
time.
you're using 2016 tax note that was a discretionary,
Correct.
so at some point we need to keep track.
Mhm.
We need to keep track what we're giving to each one of the precincts just out of general fund money. I've always said to all of y'all, it needs to be fair at some point. If we're gonna be spending money on one or two, everybody else, the 4 precincts need to be at some point catch up to the amount of money we're spending on 1 or 2 precincts. I don't mind using the money, but you have more needs in other precincts than just in a couple of precincts. We need to keep track where all the precincts are at some point.
How much is in that discretionary?
According to the numbers, we just loosely got around 19,000. However, then, if that's the case, the easy answer just
The
out of.
court will end up making that decision to use it or not, because we're gonna need $10,000 to move forward with this project.
Right. If that's the case, you can always just hit operating. We're early in the year, and then towards the end of the year, if operating is deficient somehow and holding up projects, then we can look at
And
that.
again, this is a court decision. I just made a comment. If the court wants to use $10,000 out of that 2016 tax note, use the $10,000. He looked at you, you brought us a response, you're telling us this is an idea. So if the court wants to use $10,000 out of that 2016 tax note, that we have $19,000 still in, all I need is a motion. I'm just saying that at some point, the rest of the precincts need to catch up. I'm not saying not to use it, I'm just saying the rest of the precincts need to catch up. But there is $19,000 in there, if you want to use $10,000 out of it, or if you want to use $10,000 out of operating. Decision's yours, you're the commissioner.
Is a motion in order?
Yes, sir.
Let's take it out of operating, so I want to be fair to the rest of them.
Second. Have a motion, Commissioner Wardlaw, thank you. Have a motion, Commissioner Wardlaw, second Commissioner Flores, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those against?
All right. And I'm not voting because it's coming out of there, I'm voting because I don't think we have a plan. I'm still not comfortable that we have a plan that's gonna fix anything. We're just gonna continue to throw money at this thing, and I don't know if we'll ever finish.
Well, the judge handled the meeting real well when we met in the pump house the other day, and I'm totally convinced the judge has a good plan, that we can go forward with the other pumps.
We have a motion, Commissioner Wardlaw, second Commissioner Flores, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody against?
All right.
Motion carries 4-1. Item 30, closed session consultation pursuant to Texas Government Code, A, 551.071, parentheses 2, attorney-client privilege, B, 551.071, parentheses 1, parentheses 8, contemplated litigation, C, 551.072, regarding the purchase, exchange, lease, and/or value of real property and possible action, open session thereafter, D, 551.073, regarding the negotiated contract, lease, or value of real property and possible action, open session thereafter, E, 551.076, regarding the security devices, security audit, and/or security personnel. You'll give us the room, please. We'll take a little 5-minute break. We'll go into executive session. Sir? Middleton, second Commissioner Flores. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody against? Motion carries 5-0, and the motion was to deny. So I'll get with David right now, Mr. Bond right now when I know. Item 22, discussion possible action to adjust the community center travel and training budget from available appropriations. There was $800, what was allowed in the last budget, Commissioner?
I'll make a motion to approve $800 for travel and training and to get the money from contingency.
Second. I have a motion, Commissioner Flores, second Commissioner Wardlaw. All those in favor? Aye. Those against? Motion carries 5-0. That was it, right?
No, 21, I'm gonna undo my previous motion.
Let's go back. Discussion and possible action on approval to purchase soft drinks for volunteers utilizing community center budget.
That was a bad one. Anyhow, I'm gonna undo my previous motion and.
You're gonna rescind your motion?
Rescind.
Commissioner Wardlaw, you okay with that?
No, he did it.
Okay, my new motion will be that, we'll be getting money from operating budget for special events to include, food distribution for soft drinks, and that's per precinct. And if we run low on that money, we can get from, special events, county judge's budget. No, just, operating.
Okay.
For your special event.
Yes, yes.
In precinct one.
Yes.
Yes.
And the money would come out of each precinct.
Yeah, operating.
I have a motion, Commissioner Flores, Commissioner Wardlaw. You second that?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm against still. 4-1, motion carries.
You don't want no drinks?
Some drinks? All right.
Just keep that in mind.
Item 31, Commissioners' comments. None?
I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving.
Okay.
I had something, I'm sure if I remember.
You didn't write it down?
Oh, yeah, Judge, just, under Commissioner's comments, we are gonna do the studies, geotechnical studies on Cienegas Road. The bid was under $50,000, so I didn't put an item on the agenda. And I guess we're gonna move forward with it with the lowest bidder.
Okay. That'll work. Any other comments? None? County judge's comments, none? Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.